Good morning, everyone. I realized that last week in talking to many of you about your rough drafts and moving into your final drafts, that there was a little bit of confusion between some of the terms. So what I wanted to do first today was define the terms a little bit, especially between what summaries, paraphrases, and direct quotes are in comparison to citations. So first and foremost, we want to kind of talk about what the differences are between summaries, paraphrases, and quotes. Summaries are information from a source that talks about the whole thing. So you're not just summarizing, a small sentence or two. You're summarizing big chunks of paragraphs or big sections, or maybe even the whole source. With a paraphrase, it's information from a source that talks about a smaller part. So this might be used paraphrasing a paragraph, paraphrasing a sentence, or even paraphrasing some data from the source that you're using. A quote is something where you're using the author's words directly without any changes, but with quotation marks to show that it is a direct quote and the author's words. So this is where you don't change it yourself, you're not putting it into your own words. Now, the big difference comes with the way that people understand summaries, paraphrases, and quotes. These are all things that you're taking from the source and using. So even if you're in your own words in a summary or in your own words in a paraphrase, you're stating the information that you learned from a source, that this is still something that we need to then give a citation. So now citations are not summaries. Citations are not paraphrases. Citations are not quotes. The citation is the information about a source that helps us kind of identify where the summary, where the paraphrase, or where the direct quote came from. So you want to remember that summaries, paraphrases, and quotes are the information that you're taking from a source. Citations are the information that you're giving about the source. So that's the author, the title, the year, the page number, usually for any different number of formats like APA or MLA. Now, you have to have both. So what I want you guys to remember is summaries, paraphrases, and quotes are the information that you're using to support your ideas. Citations are the information that you're giving your reader to show where that came from. So, just to remember, a citation does not equal a quote. It does not equal a paraphrase, nor does it equal a summary. So when you're doing your work, you must have a quote plus the citation. You must have the paraphrase plus the citation. You must have a summary plus the citation to avoid plagiarism. So what that looks like a little bit more clearly is that, summaries, paraphrases, and quotes all are giving information from the source. But most importantly, all of them need in-text citations, and all of them need the complete information about the source at the end of your project or end of your text or end of your video, whatever it is you're working on. So remember, quoting is an exact match to the original source, and it's used for impact. Now, when we talk about it being used for impact, I reminded you guys that you only want to use one or two quotes for an entire project. This is meant to show that you're using the author's words from one of your sources because they can say it better than you ever can. So the reason it's so important that we don't use quotes is we don't want to use other people's exact words in our writing any more than we think is necessary. So what this means is that most of your writing is then your ideas. Now, with summarizing and paraphrasing, we're putting someone else's words into our own words. This is where we're kind of saying what we think the whole source or the whole section is saying. It shortens a much larger passage or source material into smaller, condensed summaries, and it highlights the major parts of the big ideas or the main themes or the main ideas of the source information. This has to have the citation, right? So paraphrasing then is putting someone else's words into your own words, And paraphrases are kind of like you're doing a smaller amount, like I mentioned. Uh, it equals kind of the same length as the original passage from the source material, but it can often be shorter. It is more kind of you redefining, you re-explaining what the source is saying, how you understand it. For summarizing and paraphrasing, both need in-text citations. So we have to remember that when we're doing an annotated bibliography, we're going to be using all three: quotes, summaries, and paraphrases. With an annotated bibliography, we are citing that information already because we're using this as an entry form. All three must appear with a citation when you're doing this outside of an annotated bibliography. So at the end of each sentence that you're using information from a source, you need to have that in-text citation. You need to have that bibliographic entry at the end of your project as well, in whatever format that you're using. So we have to be very careful about forgetting what each of these things are. So remember, a quote is not a citation. A summary is not a citation. A paraphrase is not a citation. But a quote must appear with one, a summary must appear with a citation, and a paraphrase must appear with a citation.